Welcome back, everybody. Matt and the Bat here. Hope you're doing well. So I got to go see The Flash today as I'm recording this. And let me tell you, this movie has been in production for a very long time. I think ever since like 2014, they announced this movie. They've had multiple directors come and go, multiple writers come and go. All the Ezra Miller crap that went on in 2020 and 2021. It's been a very, very long road to make this movie. And it's finally here. And I gotta admit, they did a great job. I mean, they did a really, really good job with this movie. I'm a little surprised by how much I enjoyed this film. I mean, bringing back Michael Keaton as Batman was a stroke of genius, and I'll get to that in the review. Even Ezra Miller, even with all the shit he's been doing off camera, I don't think he's ever going to come back as the Flash. But for this movie, and I didn't like him in Justice League, but in this movie, he does a great job here. Positives. The opening sequence of this movie is awesome. As an action sequence, they kick off the movie right away and get right into that scene, that fast pace, no pun intended, because of the Flash. It really is a cool action sequence, well choreographed, fun, funny. Ben Affleck in this sequence is great as Batman, like always. Ezra Miller already starts to look great in the role in this moment. The new suit that he wears in this movie looks amazing on screen. This sequence is a chase sequence, is a rescue sequence. Like that, it has a lot of humor in it. It definitely works as an opening sequence in a comic book movie. I would probably rank it pretty high up there. Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. Like I said, I've gone on record that I didn't like Ezra Miller in the Justice League movie. Whether you're talking about the Whedon cut or you're talking about the Snyder cut. Either version, I didn't like Ezra Miller in the role. I thought he was too much, almost too immature for Barry Allen. Maybe someone who lost his mother and his father's in prison for the murder. You would think a person would have a little bit more maturity, almost like a Bruce Wayne, if you will. So I never liked that version in Justice League. The funny part is I think Ezra Miller as an actor, outside of that movie, like we need to talk about Kevin, or The Perks of Being a Wallflower, he's excellent in those movies. So I was like, why are we getting this version of Barry Allen? And I'm also someone who grew up watching The Flash on the CW and seeing Grant Gustin. And, obviously, each person is going to play Barry Allen differently, just like each actor that plays Bruce Wayne, Batman, is going to be different from Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer to George Clooney to Christian Bale to Ben Affleck to Robert Pattinson. But like that, I thought he was way too immature and jokey in the Justice League movie. Here, he is excellent in this movie. He's a lot more mature in this movie. He feels like the Barry Allen that went through his mother getting killed and his father being framed for the murder. He brings a lot more maturity. He's a more serious Barry Allen. We still have the fun and jokey and personality in there, but it has a lot better balance in this movie, and emotional. We get a very emotional Barry Allen in certain sequences that I thought were perfect for this movie. Well, again, this is the person whose mother was murdered, and his father was framed for the murder. That's going to mess somebody up. He's going to have a lot more baggage and emotional, you know, emotional depth to the character than what we got in the Justice League movie. Ezra Miller scenes with Michael Keaton are great. Yes, we see two Barry Allens in this movie. And yes, the other Barry Allen is a little bit more of that immaturity, but not too much. And he is also younger than the Barry Allen that is in the universe that we've been watching now. So they do, it is a good balance, and you really see Ezra Miller playing off both of them perfectly in very different ways. So like that, really, the sad part about Ezra Miller is, because of all the shit he did off camera, he's not returning in the flesh. I don't care what producers say, I don't care what the director said, Ezra Miller will not return as the Flash. It's a bummer, because he was excellent in this movie. But hey, you do the shit you did, there's no way you're coming back. Michael Keaton. Like I said, I grew up with Michael Keaton. I don't know who did it in the 90s, 89 and 92. Batman and Batman Returns. I mean, some people call him their favorite. I still find Christian Bale to be my favorite Batman / Bruce Wayne. But I do like watching Michael Keaton. And let me tell you something. This man, he hasn't missed a beat as Batman. He is still the same Batman all those years ago. And it is marvelous to see him on screen again. All of the scenes in Wayne Manor are great. There's definitely a lot of Easter eggs. One very fun Easter egg in particular. I'm not going to say what that means. But I'm laughing. That should clue you in. Anyway, who laughs in the Batman? When he puts on that Batman suit, I mean, he's not my favorite Batman, but even I was getting goosebumps watching. When he walks out in that Batman suit, fully in the suit, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And him in the action sequences are great. My only negative when it comes to that is, yeah, we see the Batmobile, but we never see him drive the Batmobile, which was a real bummer. Like, come on, you have the fucking Batmobile, the best Batmobile in any Batman movie, and you don't let him drive it. That Danny Elfman score, that would have been tight. To me, it's very funny. Now, this is not a movie that is a joking movie every minute, or after every serious moment, like most of the Marvel movies, but there is some great humor in this movie. One scene in particular had me dying. There's a brief little, when they have Mary travel to different universes, and in one universe they're arguing about who plays Marty McFly. That's all I'm gonna say, because it goes on for a little while and it's good. It's really good. That I was just dying laughing in that sequence. But yeah, the humor works great. The action sequences are great in this movie. I like that I just mentioned the opening sequence. Great opening action sequence for both Barry Allen, The Flash, and Ben Affleck's Batman. Really great. Then there's a scene in Russia dealing with Supergirl. Another great action sequence, but this time mostly for Michael Keaton's Batman to really show off. And I thought that was excellent in the movie. And even the third act battle sequence might be the weakest action sequence, but it's still fun. You still see Batman do stuff. You still see Supergirl do stuff. The two Flashes are in on the action. So overall, I thought for action-wise, this movie is really well done. This movie is very emotional. This movie has a lot of heart. I did not think this movie was going to have a lot of heart going into a Flash movie. But it does. I would actually argue that this movie might have the most emotional Flash heart than any of the DCU movies, other than maybe Shazam. The first Shazam, I would say, has a good amount of heart. But this is definitely the second, or even maybe higher than Shazam. It has an emotional sequence. And this is where Ezra Miller really, really shines in those moments. That I was like, oh, wow. Well, this is kind of sad. This is kind of deep. And it goes along with like the themes of the movie. The themes of the movie. You know, even though you might be the fastest man alive, even though you might be able to go back in time, at the end of the day, guess what? You can't change the past, no matter what. And I think that's a great message for anyone. Because I feel like anyone out there, depending on the situation, depending on the circumstance, are probably going, yeah, I wish I could go back in time and change that one thing. Maybe it's something, an incident. Maybe it's someone who died. You're like, if I just go back 10 years ago, I could maybe change something. Just one thing. Maybe he would still be alive. Maybe. So, or you like it, maybe it's just something else. Maybe it's a decision you made. Either way, it's one of those themes that's like, you can't go back and change the past. The past is the past. It's done. No matter what you try, even if you go back in the past, something is going to go wrong. Something is going to change. The score. I think the score was great, either with the Flash's theme, Ben Affleck's Batman theme, or incorporating Danny Elfman's Batman theme from Michael Keaton. I thought was really well done. Really did a great job of blending them together and not feeling odd or awkward or out of place. The movie's 2 hours and 24 minutes, and I thought it was, no pun intended, pretty fast paced. For 2 hours and 24 minutes, the movie flew by. It was a run by Fruity. And funny enough, even though it isn't an origin film of the Flash, but in some ways it is an origin film of the Flash, I thought they did a great job as kind of yes but no. And I thought for kind of an origin film, even though we've seen the Flash in Justice League, it really worked well. And I think that's the funny part about these DCU movies, that you might not think the overall DCU that we've gotten in the 10 years, which that started with Man of Steel, but if you just look at the origin films, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, and now The Flash, the origin movies are actually the best films in these DCU movies. That's why it's so sad that we never did get an origin or a solo Batman film for Ben Affleck. Because apparently the script that they had for that movie was one of the best scripts for any Batman movie. And we never got to see that movie. Because that could have been another solo film with Ben Affleck. That would have been another great outing. Solo first film in the DCU. Andy Muschietti, the director, or someone who is basically taking from other people's creations and minds and blending it together. Like I said, he didn't, Zack Snyder created The Flash in his universe. And Andy Muschietti just came in and borrowed it. He didn't cast Ezra Miller. Zack Snyder did. Zack Snyder cast Ben Affleck as Batman, so he's working in that universe. Tim Burton cast Michael Keaton back in the late 80s. So Manny Muschietti had to blend in Michael Keaton's universe into one. Zod, Man of Steel, Zack Snyder. So the only real character in this movie that is from Andy Muschietti is Sasha Calle as Supergirl, Kara. And I thought she did a great job in the role. She's not in it as much as I wanted her to be, but I would argue that we know they're going to be making a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, and we don't know if that's going to be a complete reboot, or if they're going to bring in this actor Sasha Calle to continue the role. But I kind of hope, after what I've seen from her in this movie, that they do bring her over to the Supergirl movie. So I thought Andy Muschietti did a great job. My negatives with this movie, there's really no real villain. I think this is the biggest problem with this movie. Yes, Zod, General Zod, Michael Shannon is back in the movie, but he's in this movie very little. And I mean very little. Not enough to even give this character an arc or some sort of development. He just plopped in there. And I feel like if people that have never seen Man of Steel, they're going to be a little lost. So I think, and then there is a second villain that we haven't seen in the trailer, so I won't spoil. But even that villain doesn't get enough development either. So I think the main negative with this movie is the villain. There's no real villain in this movie. It's weird. Because they do set up the mom dying and the father being framed for it. And in the comics, that would be Reverse Flash. But they never touch on that in this movie. That could have been the overall villain of this film, Reverse Flash. But for some reason they didn't go that route. And I wish we had more of Sasha Calle. She doesn't show up until halfway through the movie. And then she's only in mainly the half the second act and the third act. But not enough to really develop her. So I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. I think she did a fine job. But if it were me, in that instance, I would have rather seen Henry Cavill return. Because at least we know Henry Cavill. We've seen his development in Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, to the point of, okay, you just plop him in here, and we know who he is. This is the perfect movie to end the 10-year DCU journey that started with Man of Steel exactly 10 years ago. But on the other hand, it's a movie that, yeah, I want to see another Flash movie. I want to see a sequel. I want this DCU to continue. I want to see more of Ben Affleck's Batman. You would love to see Ezra Miller, if he got his shit together, and didn't do what he did, to see another Flash movie with him, a sequel. And then maybe that's how you do the Reverse Flash storyline. But in a way, because of what happened with Ezra and now the new DCU under James Gunn, we're not going to try and get a sequel like that. So it does kind of end the DCU that's been going on for 10 years kind of perfectly. 4.6 out of 5. I think they had a strong villain in this movie. This movie might even be a 5 out of 5 for me. But since you have basically no villain in your film, it hurts. I think it's a very, very good movie. I think it's a very good Flash movie. Ezra Miller was great. Michael Keaton back is great. So, are you going to go see The Flash this weekend? I think you should. I mean, it is very good. Despite how you might feel about Ezra Miller, like I said, I think Ezra Miller is a piece of shit with what he's done off screen. But as an actor in this movie, he does a great job. So, are you going to run to see The Flash this weekend? Let me know. Matt the Bat here.